Yoshimoto, and I am finally free from the chains of ebooks. I was in this weird rut, attention span wise, where the only thing getting me to finish a book was a library due date. I was stuck in this weird cycle where by the time I got to the deadline, I'd already checked out another book in the 3 weeks that had passed. And so then I had to read that book because that deadline was coming up. And the cycle just kept repeating, and I was stuck in this loop of only reading library books. Long story short, I have heavily neglected my shelves, and there is a massive floor pile of unread books that I really want to get to. So I just finished the 3 books that I was reading. I get to choose what to read next, and so I'm deciding to read something physical. And I have done the honors of going through and pilfering my shelves for things I want to read in the immediate future. Not just one pile, but 2. So having these to choose from is still too many. And so I'm going to go through and read the first line, see which one hooks me, see which one I want to read the most, and hopefully make a decision by the end of all this, because otherwise I don't know how I'm ever going to read one of these books, because there are so many to choose from. So I'm going to go through and just talk about what these are, why I want to read them, and then I'll start sampling. So up first is Sula by Toni Morrison. I read The Bluest Eye. It was so super good, and I've only heard more about Sula and Beloved, so want to read one of the two, and this one just drew me in. Then we have Eileen. I also read Latbona recently, and so I want more Moshfegh. Out of the Moshfeghs I haven't read, this one is the one that I am most drawn to. These are not my annotations. Someone else read this first. Someone else was actually Miss Anna Wallace Johnson. Fun fact, I bought this from her. And when I say bought, I meant she sent it to me for free because we're such great friends, and that's just how good of friends we are. Jealous, perhaps? No, I did buy it from her. If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. I read Giovanni's Room last year. I still refuse to shut up about it, so I want to read more Baldwin. This one is supposed to be one of his best. The bar is so high, but if anyone is going to pass it, it is definitely James Baldwin. Then I have Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. I read Dead End Memories last year, and it was one of my favorites of the whole year, so excited to read more by her. And I've heard a lot about this little tiny book, so I wonder what it holds. Then I have Pedro Paramo, which I just read a Gabriel Garcia Marquez book, and this is cited as like a direct influence. Juan Rulfo's like writing in general is like Spanish surrealism, like seminal. So wanna give it its flowers. Then I have Pond by Claire Louise Bennett. Check Out 19 was one of my favorite books last year, so just more of the same author. Seems to be a recurring theme, but I mean, I like it. I want to read more. Then I have If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. Want to read something by him. I've heard musings. The title of this already like makes me feel wistful, so I'm sure that the book holds some pleasant feelings that I want to feel for myself. Then there's A Horse at Night on Writing by Emina Kane. Kind of a booktube darling, and especially in the last few months there's been a lot of buzz about it. Super skinny, seems super smart, want to get to it, just kind of scared, kind of intimidated, but maybe the first line will draw me in. Then there is My Tender Matador. This book is rated super highly and like praised very, very loudly. Very skinny. It feels really nice physically. I know that doesn't matter to y'all, but for me that's like a plus sign. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things and I know nothing about it, literally nothing. I got more than one comment recommending this, and so I was like, fine, I'll do it. Fine, I'll buy books, fine. Then I have Heart Snatcher by Boris Vian. I know nothing about this at all, except that one of my like online friends, shout out to Yago, had recommended this to me, and so I got it. I haven't touched it in like 6 months. There's no blurb, so I actually know nothing about this. It's hefty. Maybe now's the time. Now that I'm going through the shelves, maybe I will unearth it. Then this is one I got recently. It is Life for Sale by Yukio Mishima. I actually started another Yukio Mishima book recently. When I was on my trip in Japan, I had brought with me Confessions of a Mask, and I'm just now realizing that I didn't finish that book. I got like 20 pages in and just haven't touched it. But that's what I mean about like my attention span issue, where if I don't have a deadline where I have to finish a book by a certain time, then I will definitely just let it like float around. I'll put it down and intend to come back to it and just never will. I have multiple books on the shelf that I've started and just not even dropped, because in my head it's like I didn't dislike it enough to drop it, but just one of those things. So he's an author that I've read a little bit of, but the blurb on this just seemed really absurd, really like Nabokovian, and wanted to read it. Interested in him as a person. Maybe this is the one. Okay, so that's pile one. A lot of skinnies in that one. This one has some thicker books, so still some more to get through, or more that I want to get to. A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. I've heard so many good things about this book. Problem is, it's huge, so I am intimidated by this one, but finally have it. So, okay, this one, don't hate me, y'all, but I kind of want to read a Murakami. I haven't in like a year, and I'm kind of scared to reopen this like can of worms, because the hold that Murakami had on me was frightening. But if I'm going to read any of his books that I haven't gotten to, it's going to be After Dark. Maybe now's the time. I don't know. Hopefully it has a really shitty first line so that I don't have to do this to myself. I also have Piranesi. This is one of like the oldest books on my shelf, so all the more reason to want to finally get to it. I just remember buying into the hype very quickly on this one. It was like buzzing when I was first getting back into reading, and so I got it. Have honestly not been super keen to get to it. I mean, I've seen it on my shelf for months and never really gravitated towards it, but maybe when I open it up, the first few lines will speak to me and I'll finally read this. I also have The Apprenticeship, or The Book of Pleasures by Clarice Lispector. This is like a booktube darling, at least like contemporary lit booktube darling. I feel like everyone is having like a Claire Clarice Lispector. A Claire Clarice Lispector resurgence renaissance. Write it down. I feel like the book world is having like a Clarice Lispector renaissance, and I am fully on board. Hour of the Star was crazy bears, awesome pants mode. I want to read more by her, so all aboard. Okay, up next is The Seas by Samantha Hunt. There's a lot of people whose taste I trust that have read this and really enjoyed it, so I don't know much about it. I'm interested. I want to read it just so that I can kind of share the praise with them, but I'm also scared to read it because what if I don't like it as much as them? That would really suck. Then we have Permafrost by Eva Baltazar. Boulder, the sequel to this book, just got longlisted for the International Booker, so immediately my eyes went towards this because I for real have to read it eventually, but I can't bring myself to. Maybe now's the time. Maybe once I open it, I'll just snowball into wanting to keep reading it. I don't know. And then lastly is Acts of Desperation. This is actually the reason that I'm doing this video, because I was just doing this off camera and going through the first lines, and this was the first one I picked up, and the first line was pretty interesting, and I was like, I wonder what, the rest of this has in store. I'll record it. So yeah, I do know what this first line is, but this is like a romance that maybe there is some power dynamics, a power struggle, maybe like an age gap, maybe problematic. I don't know much about it, although I think it's like raunchy, maybe not so nice in certain points, and that the cover is crazy pants. I really like it. The spine too, it's like neon yellow. Anyways, so that's pile 2, some like thicker books. Okay, so between these two, I want to whittle it down to like three, maybe. I don't know how hard this is going to be. Maybe five. But ideally, it'd be one. Ideally, I'd come away from this being like, oh, I know what book I'm reading immediately. Yeah, I mean, let's just start. Let's just rip the band-aid off and see what these books have in store. We're going to start with Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. And, okay, should I read the first line? Hold up. Should I read the first line or should I read, like, to the line break? I don't think I need to overthink this. This is how Kitchen starts. 1. Kitchen. The place I like best in this world is the kitchen. No matter where it is, no matter what kind, if it's a kitchen, if it's a place where they make food, it's fine with me. Ideally, it should be well broken in. Lots of tea towels, dry and immaculate. White tile, catching the light. Ting ting. Okay. I did want to keep reading, which is like the sign I'm looking for. If I want to turn the page, if I want to see what happens next, it will go into a yes pile, and I will figure it out from there. I feel like a lot of things are going to go in the yes pile. If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin starts like this. I look at myself in the mirror. I know that I was christened Clementine, and so it would make sense if people called me Clem, or even, come to think of it, Clementine, since that's my name, but they don't. People call me Tish. I guess that makes sense too. I'm tired, and I'm beginning to think that maybe everything that happens makes sense. Like, if it didn't make sense, how could it happen? But that's really a terrible thought. It can only come out of trouble that doesn't make sense. I wanted to keep reading that. Okay, so 2 yeses. Maybe one of these will be really bad though, or they will all be yeses, is probably more likely. Let's see what Miss Moshfegh has in store for us in the first lines of Eileen. 1964. I looked like a girl you'd expect to see on a city bus, reading some cloth-bound book from the library about plants or geography, perhaps wearing a net over my light brown hair. You might take me for a nursing student or a typist. Note the nervous hands, a foot tapping, bitten lip. I looked like nothing special. It's easy for me to imagine this girl, a strange, young and mousy version of me, carrying an anonymous leather purse or eating from a small package of peanuts, rolling each one between her gloved fingers, sucking in her cheeks, staring anxiously out the window. Okay, I'll try and be more critical. This will go into a no pile. Otherwise, I feel like I would make no progress. Although, I am kind of interested to see where Moshfegh would take like a strung out nursing student. Okay, this is how Sula by Toni Morrison starts. In that place where they tore the nightshade and blackberry patches from their roots to make room for the Medallion City golf course, there was once a neighborhood. It stood in the hills above the valley town of Medallion and spread all the way to the river. It is called the suburbs now, but when black people lived there, it was called the bottom. Okay, I do want to keep reading. Like it was, the whole page didn't really have like a break, so that felt like a good stopping point. I will try to read like an equal amount of all of these ish. I probably won't. I'll just read until like it feels like a good stopping place. Okay, this is Pedro Paramo. I came to Comala because I was told that my father, a certain Pedro Paramo, was living here. My mother told me so, and I promised her I would come see him as soon as she died. I pressed her hand so that she'd know I would do it, but she was dying and I was in the mood to promise her anything. Be sure you go and visit him, she told me. I know he'll be pleased to see you. So all I could do was to keep telling her I would do it, and I kept saying it until I had to pry my hand loose from her dead fingers. That is a hard yes. I do definitely want to keep reading the rest of that page. Not making incredible progress in whittling down the TBR, but okay, this is Pond by Claire Louise Bennett. This is fun, by the way. Okay, Voyage in the Dark. First of all, it seemed to us that you were very handsome, and the principal windows of your house were perfectly positioned to display a blazing reflection at sunset. One evening, while walking back from the fields, this effect was so dramatic we thought your rooms were burning. We liked nothing better than to rake the tinkling gravel on your drive, then to climb an impeccable tree along its passage and wait. You would hear the engine loud in the valley, followed by a thrilling silence within which we would wave our boots and imagine the leather grip of your hands upon the steering wheel, left and right. Oh, but we were only little girls there on the cusp of female individuation, not little girls for long. I would put this in a no. Not even that was bad, but I just have to start saying no. If on a winter's night, a traveler by Italo Calvino. Oh, this font is sexy. Look at that. Okay, this is how it starts. 1. You are about to begin reading Italo Calvino's new novel, If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler. Relax. Concentrate. Dispel every other thought. Let the world around you fade. Best to close the door. The TV is always on in the next room. Tell the others right away, no, I don't want you to watch TV. Raise your voice. They won't hear you otherwise. I'm reading. I don't want to be disturbed. Maybe they haven't heard you with all the racket. Speak louder. Yell. I'm beginning to read Italo Calvino's new novel. Or, if you prefer, don't say anything. Just hope they'll leave you alone. Okay. Is this going to be talking to me the whole time, or is this just like a foreword? I'm going to skip ahead. I don't know if that counts or not. I don't know. Anyways. Okay, this is where the... Apologies for whatever that was. This novel begins in a railway station. A locomotive huffs. Steam from a piston covers the opening of the chapter. A cloud of smoke hides part of the first paragraph. And the odor of the station... Okay, I feel like the whole thing is going to be talking to me. Okay. I'm interested in this. That was fun. That made me smile and giggle. I liked that. Okay. A horse at night on writing. Without writing it, I wrote a diary of sorts. Lightly. A diary of fiction. Or is that not what this is? I wrote about reading fiction and about writing it. Sometimes I read and thought about the books my friends had written. They were my friends partly because I felt a great kinship with what they wrote. Sometimes about books by writers I will never know. They are dead, or they are alive, but still, I won't meet them. It is enough to read their work. I will put this in a tentative no. And I feel the same way that I do about Pond, where it's like, I don't dislike this. I feel like I would enjoy this, but immediately in the moment, not what I'm looking for. I want something a little bit more like these, I guess. I can't really explain it, but like mood reading, I guess. I'm not in the mood for it right now. Okay. My Tender Matador. Like drawing a sheer cloth over the past, a flaming curtain fluttering out the open window of that house in the spring of 1986. A year scarred by smoking tires in the cordoned-off streets of Santiago. A city waking up to sounds of banging pots and pans and lightning blackouts. Electric wires dangling overhead, sputtering and sparking. Then, total darkness. The headlights of an armored car. The "Stop, you piece of shit!" The gunshots and the terrified stampede, like metal castanets shattering the felt-tipped night. Gloomy nights, pierced by shouts, by the indefatigable chant of "Now he will fall, now he will fall," and the many last-minute news bulletin broadcasts over the airwaves by Radio Cooperativa. No. I feel disrespectful just like saying no, but no, I don't want to read this right now. That wasn't bad either. I don't have to defend it, but yeah. This is Heart Snatcher. The path dawdled round the top of the cliff. On each side of it, a border of blossoming calamines mingled with clumps of overblown scarlet nightwort whose withering petals strewed the surrounding earth. Sharp, narrow insects had burrowed thousands of minute holes into the earth. It was like walking on frostbitten sponge. Okay, I really liked that, saying that out loud. I want to read more of this. Okay, Yukio Mishima's Life for Sale starts like this. When Hanyo regained consciousness, everything around him dazzled so brightly he thought he might be in heaven. But a splitting headache lingered in the back of his skull. Surely there were no headaches in heaven. The first thing that came into view was a large frosted glass window. The window was featureless, and it overflowed with whiteness. "Looks like he's come around," someone said. "Thank goodness for that. Saving someone's life always puts a spring in your step for the rest of the day." Hanyo raised his eyes. Standing before him were a nurse and a stocky man in a paramedic's uniform. "Come on now, calm down. Now's no time to be thrashing around." The nurse went to hold him down by his shoulders. It dawned on Hanyo that his attempt at suicide had failed. That's a yes. That is a yes. That's a slay. The yes pile. I wanted to keep reading that. But maybe it's because I was doing silly voices. And that was pile 1. I feel good that I got rid of any books at all. So, pile 2. Let's get on with it. Okay, up next is Acts of Desperation by Megan Nolan. So this is the one that I already have read the first line of. "The first time I saw him, I pitied him terribly." I know I read more for the other ones, but that's enough, honestly, to make me want to read more. But I will put it into the no pile purely because of the fact that I just read Open Water, and so I feel like my romance quota has been met for a while. So I don't need that right now. Moving on, we have Permafrost by Eva Baltazar. It's nice up here, finally. That's the thing about heights. 100 meters of vertical glass. The air is air at a higher degree of purity, and so also seems harder, at times almost solid. There's a hovering smell of metal. A layer of noise hangs down below, soot heavy and latent, like a fine, crisp eye of oil, a sort of shiny black gift. Not even a bird flies by. That's a yes. I almost wanted to I started hypnotizing myself reading that. Okay. Samantha Hunt, The Seas. The map, a prologue. The highway only goes south from here. That's how far north we live. There aren't many roads out of town, which explains why so few people ever leave. Things that are unfamiliar are a long way off, and there's no direct route to these things. Rather, it's a street, to a road, across a causeway, to a road across a bridge, to a road to another road before you reach the highway. Yeah, that's a yes. Okay, the yes pile is getting a little big, but making progress all the same. The Apprenticeship, or The Book of Pleasures by Clarice Lispector. Being so busy, she'd just come from the grocery shopping that the maid had rushed because she was shirking more every day. Though she only came in to get lunch and dinner ready, she'd dealt with a few things on the phone, including one awfully difficult call to the plumber. She'd gone to the kitchen to put away the groceries and place the apples, which were her best food, in the fruit bowl, despite not knowing how to arrange fruit, but Ulysses had hinted at the future possibility for example, making the fruit bowl look pretty. Saw what the maid had left for dinner before leaving, because lunch had been terrible, meaning she'd noticed that the small terrace, which was a perk of her ground floor apartment, needed to be washed. Got a call inviting her to a charity cocktail party for something that she hadn't quite... What? There's no periods in this. It just keeps going. Oh my god, is this one of these books? This is a no. At least for like my mental right now. I've been reading Duck's Newburyport for I don't even know how many weeks, but that book is also another one that like doesn't have periods, where it's all just commas and there's like no indentations. Kind of like Hurricane Season, where I can't read two of those at once. Okay, Piranesi. Let's see how this one starts. When the moon rose in the third northern hall, I went to the ninth vestibule. Entry for the first day of the 5th month in the year the albatross came to the southwestern halls. When the moon rose in the third When the moon rose in the third northern hall, I went to the ninth vestibule to witness the joining of 3 tides. This is something that happens only once every 8 years. The ninth vestibule is remarkable for the 3 great staircases it contains. Its walls are lined with marble statues, hundreds upon hundreds of them, tier upon tier, rising into the distant heights. No offense. That was a no. I didn't like that. That didn't come out naturally. Maybe that's my fault, but this is After Dark by Haruki Murakami. 1:11. There's like a clock. 11:55 p.m. Eyes mark the shape of the city. Through the eyes of a high-flying nightbird, we take in the scene from midair. In our broad sweep, the city looks like a single gigantic creature, or more like a single collective entity created by many intertwining organisms. Countless arteries stretch to the ends of its elusive body, circulating a continuous supply of fresh blood cells, sending out new data and collecting the old, sending out new consumables and collecting the old, sending out new contradictions and collecting the old. Nope. Honestly, thank God. We can't afford to like Murakami. That's not how I expected that book to start, I'll be honest. I've heard a lot about that book. But regardless. Now, 1. Hi, my name is Now, and I am a time being. Do you know what a time being is? Well, if you give me a moment, I'll tell you. A time being is someone who lives in time, and that means you, and me, and every one of us who is or was or ever will be. As for me, right now I'm sitting in a French-made cafe in Akiba Electricity Town, listening to a sad chanson who is playing sometime in your past, which is also my present, writing this and wondering about you, somewhere in my future. And if you're reading this, then maybe by now you're wondering about me too. What the hell is going on in this one? Yeah, fuck it. I'll say no for now. Okay, so this is my no pile. Pretty hefty, honestly, better than I thought I would do. And this is my yes pile. So let's go through this again and whittle it down. Okay, so in terms of priority, there were some that stood out. I feel like I remember. Italo Calvino, this book was talking back to me, and I liked that. Let's make some no's. The C's, I will put as a no. Sorry to the people who like that book that I bought it for, but Permafrost, I will put as a no. Okay, if Beale Street Could Talk, I will put as a yes. Pedro Paramo, I will put as a yes. These books were like actively remembered being like, I want to keep reading. Kitchen, I will put as a no for now. And I do still want to read these. I mean, obviously, but yeah, I'm trying to get it to as few as possible. So I will be a little harsh right now. Heart Snatcher, I will put as a no just because it's long and I'm a baby. Life for Sale, I will put as a yes. And Sula, I will put as a yes. Okay, so pile getting even smaller. Okay, now we have these 5. Okay, we have Sula. Oh, also, feel free to like veto my decisions, by the way. Obviously, you can't judge a book based off of one line. So if you've read one of these and you're like, you have to read that, let me know, and I will take it into account. But regardless, let's keep going. So we have Sula, If Beale Street Could Talk, If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, Life for Sale, and Pedro Paramo. This one, yes. If Beale Street Could Talk, yes. Okay, I feel like I could just leave it at that, almost. I will read these eventually. I feel like these two were the ones that I wanted to read the most, at least from reading them out loud. Although, is that how I felt? This one was fun. Honestly, I will respect my intuition and just say that I was right. And okay, so in between these two, I guess I can choose one of them because I will just start one. I think I might read this one first because I was just reminded of an idea that I had, and this one, as I'm reminded by the movie cover, has a movie. I feel like that would take up more time, and so reading this would be faster. So I could read this and then work on this sort of longer idea project I have. Speaking of, I have a lot of like movie book relationship. What the hell? What am I trying to say? Hi again, Pato from the future that's editing this. I never figure out what I'm trying to say, so basically, I want to try reading books that have movie adaptations so that I can do video essays where I compare them, review both, just talk about them in general. Not like a new idea, but something I want to try doing. I haven't done it before, so I don't know how long it'll take, whether it'll be like a once a month thing or whether I'll be able to do more than one series in a single video. So yeah, just an idea for now. But another idea I have is that it could double as a book club potentially, where we would have a book assigned and then at like a monthly meeting we would talk about the book and then maybe watch the movie together on like Discord or something. Although that's illegal, obviously piracy is horrible, so we would allegedly do something like that, hypothetically. I don't know how to corral people in general. Making a public Discord seems like hell, and then having it behind like a paywall also seems weird. I don't really want to do that. On top of, I don't know if anyone else wants to do that in the first place, so yeah, just kind of vocalizing it, and I'll see where y'all are at on that. Yeah, here's the list of books that have movie adaptations that I'm thinking of talking about. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch, so I'm open to suggestions. If there's anything that you think I should get to, let me know. If you think that this is a good idea and awesome and that you love me, let me know. Okay, jokes aside, I am kind of excited about this and been wanting to try and make like a book club of my own for a minute. This is like the best overlap of my interests I can think of. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to include music in there, but regardless, that's enough from me. Back to the video. I think the video is also ending, but yeah, regardless, thanks for watching, and back to the video. I have a book to read. Thank God I decided on one. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining. I honestly had a lot of fun doing this. I will now return this pile to my shelves. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.